Welcome to my February 20th video update. As I mentioned last week, I did take my DJI Spark drone, my little drone, on our vacation with us, mainly to use in Florida, which was the last part of our vacation. And I'm glad I did. But I did have a little bit of a scary episode. When we first got there, the weather was breezy and sunny and nice, very, very conducive to flying a drone. So one morning, or Monday morning, I believe it was, I drove around looking for a place where I might be able to use it. This particular residential area has its own flight field, but you've got to have, or a field for flying remote control devices. But you've got to be a member of their club or be a guest of a member of their club and so on. So I was just looking for some open space, and I found it. And it was perfect, I thought. It was close to a road, but far enough away that that was going to be an issue. And it was a nice big field, so I felt I was in pretty good shape. So I fired up the Spark, did a compass calibration because it was far away from where it had been used last, that's for sure. And got it up about 150 so feet, and I could see it, and I was moving it around, and I figured, okay, well, I'll go over by those trees, because really what I wanted to do was try to get an aerial view of the community where my sister-in-law lives. And so that was my goal, and I felt I was in good shape. There were some tall trees, but they weren't going to be an issue, I didn't think, because I'm just going to go up, sort of go over by the trees, and then get a nice aerial shot of the residential community. But then I had an idea. I'm in the conditions that I haven't had an opportunity to be in before when I was at home, and I have good weather, not very much wind, so I'm going to try this return to home, the RTH feature that's built into the DJI drones. So I did. I initiated the RTH, return home, and the annoying part and kind of nerve-wracking part, but an important part, is that your smartphone, I was using, I think actually I was using my iPad mini, starts making a noise to remind you that you're in this mode. And so that was okay. I got used to that. But now I really can't see the Spark, and I can't hear it. And so I'm starting to panic a little bit. And then I'm starting to panic a lot. I figure, oh my gosh, what have I done? It's going to come down on the other side of those trees. It's going to land on somebody's house, and I'm going to be in big trouble. And I'm going to be out of a Spark, possibly. Plus my battery power is getting lower and lower. And so I frantically canceled the return to home feature. It's an X on the screen, I think is what it comes up on the screen. And I got it out of that mode. And I took it higher, and I have a visual of what it's seeing. I'm still in contact with it. And I think I'm bringing it closer to me. I hope I am. And so now I'm going forward, back towards me, in this case. And eventually I started to hear the noise of the motor. And then I didn't see it, but then it got a little bit louder. So then I started bringing it down, lower, lower, lower. And sure enough, I heard the motor louder. I looked up and it was right above me. So it was in the process of coming home as I interrupted that whole process. So having sighted it, my heart started to beat a little bit slower, and I dodged that bullet. So let's get this baby out of the sky and let me rest here a little bit. So that was my next thing. So from this, I learned several lessons. Number one, make sure you manually set the return home location on your Spark before you take off. The Spark does that automatically, and it had done it probably, and it probably would have landed perfectly safely, but the fact that I just sort of lost it made me lose it, and I panicked. Number two, always keep the Spark or your drone in sight. And number three, so you can hear it. Now maybe that's not always possible, and as I get more experience at using this little baby, I maybe will feel a little bit differently about that particular suggestion, but for right now, that's one of my rules. And finally, I also learned that although I do need to practice the RTH return to home feature, I need to do it in a really wide open space and with my eye on the drone as I'm doing it. So that's my little share for today. And I'm trying something also here in this room. We have this great room that has 3 windows on 3 of its sides, so it's got a lot of natural light. So if I'm recording during the day, I'm in pretty good shape not to have to use any lights. And since I'm still cleaning up my basement from the little flooding we had, and I won't be using that be able to use that for a while just because I need to then clean out the room that flooded, the other room, move things into my studio. I've got to find other places in the house where I can record. And most recently, when I recorded the photography and technology tools, and this is kind of in line with what Video Updates is about, you know, my mistakes and things that I do wrong, and sharing that with those of you who are watching, so that you hopefully don't do the same thing. Although I've shared this before and I keep doing it myself. I tried to do that photography and technology tools episode in 3 different rooms in the house, and the lighting is always different, so it's silly to do that. It really meant I had a lot of editing to do, and I wasn't able to do a really bang-up job, and I'm still questioning whether I'm going to re-record that episode of Photography Technology Tools, or just leave it as it is as an example of what not to do. So this room is going to be my recording studio now, because I've got, as I said, a lot of natural light. I've got myself backed up to the wall that doesn't have any windows, and you can see one window over here, I guess it is. You can see one window that's, you know, it's bringing some light in, and I've got one of my lights on me. I think it's a Young New light, and it's lighting up the side of my face a little bit. That's not being lit enough from the windows. So just a little footnote there that another lesson learned, and this time hopefully I remember it. And that is, you know, making sure you have a place to record where the lighting is very good. I've got my audio, I think, where I like it. I'm happy with it, using my SmartLav Plus with my right into the iPhone. But lighting is still something I just sort of mess with, and I need to get that better, because it doesn't reflect, and there's no pun intended there, it doesn't reflect well on you if you're not lighting yourself very well. Thank you very much for checking in on this video update, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.